Eurovision.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Eurovision podcast. Now, we are continuing on our journey to Eurosong, and we're joined by another one of the finalists for Eurosong 2023. It is ADGY. Welcome to the podcast, ADGY.
Hello, guys. Thank you for having me.
No problem at all. Now, it must be an absolutely crazy week for you between being announced and starting preparations for February the 3rd. How are you doing, firstly?
Thanks for checking in. No, I'm kidding.
This is your safe space.
Yeah,
my safe space. Yeah, it's like online therapy, maybe.
yeah.
So it's been really crazy, but it's also been really fun. It's definitely like nothing I've ever kind of done before. And I knew obviously 2 weeks leading up that the announcement was going to come, and I thought, okay, I'm well prepared. Like I kind of got things in motion. I was like, right, I'm going to be ahead of the curve. And then once the announcement was made, I was like, oh gosh, I didn't like realize how much like stuff would all of a sudden just blow up. You kind of had to do all this, and then I want to focus on certain things, and all of a sudden there's so many messages and so many things coming through. You're just trying to like figure it all out and sort of filter it out. But yeah, it's been crazy, but in a really good way. And I'm definitely having a lot of fun so far. I'm kind of enjoying the process. So yeah.
Amazing.
We're glad to hear that. Like that's ultimately the main thing. Can you tell us a little bit more about your background, like how you got into music?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'm from Gweedore in County Donegal. I suppose I probably started music just with piano and keyboard. My mom sent me to piano lessons. I never really took to piano, to be honest, and I was kind of like losing interest in it. And then I think she sent me to keyboard lessons, and keyboard lessons was very different because it was a bit more modern, and you learned chord structure, and you learned by like letters as opposed to reading the notes. So that kind of gave me the ability then to learn piano by playing by ear. So that was kind of how I suppose it started. And from there, I just really fell in love with like the piano. And then eventually I was like, oh, I entered this kind of singing, totally fell in love with it. And then I think when I was like still in school, I started putting out cover videos, but it was right at the time when like YouTube was not really a thing. It was just sort of new. That sort of shows my age maybe a little bit. But
we're on a similar vein, don't worry.
No, I was like, oh gosh. People didn't post, put it like that. It wasn't like normal to put yourself up on the internet at that point, but I would put up, cover videos sort of under an alias, and they did really well. So people respond to them really nicely. I got like loads of views and comments. So I had loads of fun doing that. And then I just kind of fell in love with like music in general. Knew I wanted to pursue it. So yeah, went to uni in Bristol to study music. And that's kind of where it all sort of, kicked off.
Brilliant. So obviously ADGY isn't your real name, it's a stage name. So where did it come from? It's actually a really nice story behind it.
Yeah, so I mean, I had been writing music for ages, and I built up all these demos, and it got to the point where I was then, actually creating songs. I think the last thing in that journey is you're ready to upload a song and release a song to the world. You need to have a name or an alias name. And nothing really came apart from ADGY, because my nephew, when he was learning to speak, he couldn't say my name. He couldn't say Andrew. So he basically created ADGY. He would call me ADGY, and it was kind of cute the way he said it. So it just stuck. And then my sister called me ADGY. My niece calls me ADGY. So it's literally become like my family name. They call me ADGY. So when it came to picking a name, it's pretty easy just to be like, okay, that one feels normal. Like if people call me that, I'm not going to feel weird or like an alien. Like, why are they calling me this weird name? It feels natural, normal. So yeah, that's where it came from.
Oh, love
It's a lovely story behind that.
Yeah, the family connection. I'm an auntie as well, so I can relate to the like niece and nephew love.
Yeah.
Very sweet. Walk us through then, ADGY, your journey to applying for Eurosong. Like, how did it come about, and what made you want to apply?
So I've always submitted a track for the Eurovision. I think sometimes they open, actually most years they open up to the general public. And I mean, I have loads of demos and tracks sitting in folders, and some songs I'm like, oh, this could be potential. So I've always submitted songs, but only songs that I thought would be worthwhile. It wasn't just a case where I just chuck in anything. And a few years ago, one of my tracks was shortlisted, and I remember I got an email from Michael Keeley, and he was like, this song got really close, but just didn't quite make the cut. So yeah, and then this year, I mean, the interesting thing is this year is I've never written a song for Eurovision. That's not my approach. I don't say, oh, let's write a Eurovision song, because I don't think that just doesn't compute in my brain. That doesn't make sense. That's not how I think the process should work. So I'm always writing music. And when we wrote this particular track, I mean, I wrote it as a piano ballad, really liked the lyrics. And then I collaborated with Boxy, the producer. And it wasn't literally until the song was finished, someone heard the track and was like, oh, it's really Eurovision. And then when I listened back to it again, I was like, oh my God, it's actually really Eurovision. So I submitted that track this year. And yeah, it got selected. So I was really, really happy.
Amazing. It's great to hear you say that you didn't write it specifically for Eurovision, because so many artists go down that route and it always fails because, you know, more and more now there isn't a Eurovision style. You know, it's becoming so mainstream, and you see the likes of Måneskin, Rosalind are all doing well because it's genuine songs. So it's great to hear that you say that about Too Good for Your Love. So can you tell us a bit more about the meaning behind the song?
Yeah, so I mean the song, obviously when I wrote it is a personal song. You can kind of read between the lines that it's about someone, but I don't want to throw anybody under the bus. I'm not delve into the details of who's and the whys. But like when I listen to the song now, what I love about it is because I wrote it over lockdown, but the song is kind of about like, you know, self-development, and you know, you're in one situation and then you realize that situation isn't good for me anymore, so I'm going to evolve myself and become a better version and cut myself off from this. So it's kind of a metaphor for a lot of things in life. When them opportunities come up, you say, no, I'm too good for this, I'm better than this, I'm going to walk away with my head high. So when I listen to the song now, I can still put it into like different scenarios in my life where I say, you know what, I grew, I evolved. So yeah, even though it was about somebody, it's got those kind of other meanings as well, I guess, too.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's a great song. Really enjoy it. And you mentioned Boxy you collaborated with on the song. Can you tell us more about like how you collaborated together? Was that primarily like online collab, remote, or how did that work?
Yeah, so the crazy thing is the first track I ever released was a song called Like You Do, and that was a collaboration with me and him. I genuinely don't even remember how we met. We've never actually met in person. That's what's also crazy, is we've worked so much together, but just online. I think I can't remember who contacted who, and that's the truth, and I should really think about that. But one of us messaged the other, was like, I like your style, or I've got this track. But I think for me, like a lot of the remote work was something that I did a lot over the pandemic, because obviously there was no other choice. But it's become a really great way to collaborate with people abroad. Like the one thing that happened with remote writing and collaboration was that you're not limited by just working with somebody in Ireland or the UK. You can literally message absolutely anybody and just sit on the other side and work. So yeah, so we released a track together in 2020, and that song got signed to Universal Music. So me and him just kind of bounce, you know, tracks over and back all the time. And then this was one that we were like, cool, this is coming together, it sounds great. We just kept working on it, and then yeah, it just materialized.
Brilliant. You are based in London, but obviously you're from a Gaeltacht region, if we're correct there.
No, I'm not based in London at the moment. So I've been back in Donegal full time since like August, September this year. So now I just travel over and back a lot. I was in London like after the pandemic. I was like, I need to like get out and like go straight into like the crazy world again, and you know, get into studios and stuff. So I was there for a year, but I've been back in Donegal since August. But yeah, from the Gaeltacht in Gweedore. I'm from Bumbag. But yeah, so I'm back here at the moment, and then I just travel over a lot. There's an airport in Donegal, which is absolutely I travel over whenever I need. And yeah, I love going over, but I love coming back too.
Brilliant. So how does it feel to be back home then, you know, for the last few months, and you know, soaking it back in, you know, moving away and then coming back home and embracing, you know, because Donegal and London are very, very different places. So
yeah,
how does it feel in terms of writing styles coming home? Do you feel like a safer space in terms of writing when you're home? Or
for me, like being creative, it's an output, but you have to be in a good headspace to be creative. Like even if you're writing a sad song, an emotional song, to be creative, I think you need to be just in a good space in your head, and you can figure out how that works for you. For me, moving around a lot is like something that just works for me. I love to travel. People think I'm crazy because I've got to fly from Donegal to Dublin, Dublin to London. They're like, that must be a nightmare journey. But weirdly, I like in the airport is where I actually get a lot of work done. And on the plane, when there's no internet, I've no other choice but to sit with my own thoughts as well. So that's also like, just the process of traveling is good for me, so I don't mind it. But I think having a balance is really important. And I think for me, I like being based in Donegal, so my family is where my friends are. You know, I've got gym and everything here. Everything I need is here. But then I like having the balance of being able to go away to London, or even just go somewhere else for the weekend, or if there's, you know, a different studio or something like that. Just doing that sort of breaks it all up, and that's kind of how I like to live. And sometimes I'm in London for longer, and sometimes I'm home for longer. But yeah, it's all about balance, I think. And at the moment, it's working. So yeah.
Amazing. And just going back to the song really briefly, is that the final version of the song, or like will there be any more touch-ups to come before Eurosong?
You know what? I don't even know if I should say this because nobody's asked that question. First of all, you guys are like one of the first sort of podcasts I've done. But for me, the song it is finished, and we've like the quality, everything is there, and I'm really happy and proud of the song. But I do know that like you can do up to 3 minutes something for the Eurovision, and when it comes down to performance and things like that, sometimes a break can be really good. I don't believe you should add something for the sake of adding something unless it makes something better. Then don't do it. But I've been talking to a lot of people. I've been reading a lot of comments, and I have seen, a lot of people sort of mention things about, dropping in Irish and adding an Irish element somewhere. So I think, up until Eurosong, there's no chance in hell that would change anything with that track. If I managed to go past Eurosong and go to Liverpool, I definitely would have conversations and look at, should we add more to it? Should we do something crazy and different and cool on those last 15, 20 seconds? Should we add an Irish element? Maybe I've sort of already started putting in some ideas, but I'm not going to execute them. But I have been brainstorming, because I'll look at it for sure. We can look to see if we can make it better. And if we can, and it'll lead to a better place, then I think that could happen. But for now, who knows?
Brilliant.
I love that. Agus Larry to Gaelga.
Yeah.
Love that. We're big fans of Irish here on the podcast.
Bye.
So obviously the song's quite up tempo, and it's a bop, full stop. Late Show Studio isn't a great place for those kind of sort of bops. So have you thought much about the performance of how to execute the song in the correct manner without it coming across as cheesy at all, or have you thought that far in advance yet?
Yeah, that was the first place I started, actually, because everything else I was like, right, everything will fall into place, and you just got to schedule stuff. But when it comes to performance, I know that's like key, right? You've got to deliver. So that has been my focus. I think the plan is already in place as to how it's going to look, and at the moment now we're just sort of working through like how we get there and do it well. But it's like you said, it's a high energy, up tempo song. So all I will say is that the goal from the performance is to reflect that. Like I definitely want to, bring the energy, wake the place up as much as we can, and sort of represent that song without making it cheesy, of course. But yeah, so we're working on that at the moment. But I'm not going to give any details either. I think some things are fun to just sort of like see on the night too. Do you know?
Absolutely. Keep it tight-lipped. And then in terms of Eurovision, then, or have you even thought past that? How would you feel about your song being on the stage in Liverpool?
I mean, obviously I would love it. For me, that would be like a dream come true in so many ways. And I feel like, honestly, like I think I'm very ready to do something like that. I think if I was given that opportunity, I know I would like give it 150%, because for me, and this is the thing as well, like for me, you are representing your country. Like, yes, you get loads of exposure as an artist, but you are representing your country too. Your name's associated with the flag. So I do think that this year, I actually think the semi-finals is great all around. I think there's so many good people in it, which is great. I'm really happy to see that. And I think at the end of the day, as long as the best person who can do the best job goes, everyone will be happy. That's the way I'm approaching Eurosong. Like for me, this is really, really fun. It's been a great exposure for me already, just to get my name out there, because I think, a lot of the songwriting and releases I've had have done well, like on Spotify, on streaming platforms, but my name has never really been sort of, out there. So already I've gotten exposure. So for me, this whole process is about sort of just enjoying it, making the most of it. It is a competition, but it's also like a celebration. That's what I think the Eurovision is. The Eurovision is a competition. If you get through to the final, that in its own is amazing. And I think if you approach it like it's a celebration and you're here to represent and just do the best job you can, then everything is more sort of like organic and natural and better that way. So that's the way that everyone should approach it. Like, I don't think you should treat it like a competition and get analytical about it. You just do the best, and then on the night you see what happens.
I really love
Hit the nail on the head. Hit the nail on the head.
You're in it for like all the right reasons, and as we've been saying to like everyone we've spoken to, for fans and like people in the Eurovision circle, once you're in like a national selection in contention to represent a country, like you're in the Eurovision bubble forever. Like people who like your music will have found you and they'll follow you in the years to come and the months to come, like whatever you're releasing. So like you'll have found your people and they'll have found you. So it's a really positive thing. Really, really positive. Just before we let you go, could you just let us know what would it mean to you overall to represent Ireland at Eurovision?
For me, it would, like I said, it would be a total dream come true. I mean, I'm definitely a Eurovision fan, so I've definitely imagined myself on the Eurovision.
Yeah,
you probably have, right? Like it's just it seems like such a crazy thing, but for me, in terms of like my music career and everything as well, I feel like this is like the opportunity that I've been waiting for to just put me on a stage where I know I'm ready to like bring my all and to do my best. But yeah, it would 100% be a dream come true. And yeah, I'm not thinking that far ahead. We'll take it step by step. But yeah, I would definitely love it.
Amazing. Exciting times to come on February the 3rd.
It's getting closer quicker than I thought, but yes, very exciting.
Oh, that's brilliant. ADGY, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast. It was great to speak with you. And best of luck for the final on February 3rd. And we'll be hoping, it all goes well for you. And, if you get to Liverpool or not, we still love your music and excited to see where you go from here. But best of luck anyway.
Good night, on lads.
Oh, mille maige. Thanks, guys.